Hi everyone, this is me Daniel Raza again with another beautiful podcast and another beautiful guest who is with me. Her name is Regina Peterburgsky, and I would like to give a brief introduction about herself, and then we would like to maybe a chat with her. So Regina, she's a serial entrepreneur. She has been in the industry from last 20 plus years. Basically, she started as an Amazon seller, and then she diversified her as an Amazon as in affiliate marketing as well. Like believing that the mindset and the inner work are fundamental of businesses and success. Regina has been on a 35-year journey to discover the working of her mind and harness it for her health, happiness, and business success. Always curious and passionate in helping others unlock their inner innate potential, Regina hosts the Success Start Here podcast as well, where she interviews people on their thoughts and experience on fascinating topic of success. Regina now spends her time supporting all the entrepreneurs in their businesses growth, that transformational coaching, and she's also raising a teenager who is going to be 15 years old in next couple of days. So that's the introduction of Regina. Hi, Regina. How are you?
Great. Thanks, Danny. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm thrilled to be here.
You're most welcome. And can you tell about yourself more as I have given the brief introduction, but how did you end up helping people with the right mindset, So how did it all started?
Wow. How did it all start? Well, it
Mhm.
started when I was younger than I think you are now, when I was in my
Oh,
very late teens, early 20s, I think 19, 20. I was first introduced to mindset and goal setting through books and tapes. And I don't know if you even know what a tape looks like.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
I remember. I remember that.
um, so that's so I started way back then and learning how a positive mental attitude could have such a big effect on your success in life. And back then, for me, I wanted to make money, be
Hmm.
famous, be
Yeah.
rich, all the things
Yeah.
that we want when we're in our early 20s. And
Hmm.
so I got very heavily into goal setting,
Hmm.
affirmations and visualizations way back then.
Oh,
And even then, in my early 20s, I was actually helping people who were in business by promoting those same books and tapes that I got involved with. I started
oh, wow.
promoting that as a business,
Yeah.
and helping people in business with goal setting and mental attitude. And of what I've found over the last all these years in whatever I've done is very much that mindset and mental attitude that can make a huge difference in whatever you do in life, whether it's in your business, in your relationships, health and happiness, and all of it.
Wow. Hmm. Hmm. That is very, very interesting. So you mentioned the goal setting. Like I have read a
Mhm.
lot of books, and every different author has a different kind of concept
Sure.
about goal setting. So
Yeah.
what is your concept of goal setting? I have seen like there's another process or there another practice that is called fear setting as well. So how do you set your goals,
I,
or
I
how do you?
don't. I've not heard of fear setting. Look,
Oh yeah.
I think goal setting, it has many layers. And what we normally hear is, right, you've got to set a goal, you put your vision board up,
Yeah.
and off you go towards that goal.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what I believe and what I've learned and what I teach others is before you even set your goal, it's really
Hmm.
important to look at the foundation of who you are as a human being, what your values are, what your underlying values are, and what your overarching theme is for your life. And that way, when you set your goals, you can measure them against, well, do these goals actually fit with my
Hmm.
values? Because you might have a goal that says, I want to be really rich, right? For
Yeah,
example.
of course.
Okay. But there's different ways of being rich, right? You can
Hmm.
start a business, you can rob a bank,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or you can lie, cheat, and steal from other people. Now, you can set that goal, and unless you understand, you might say, okay, well, my values is I want to be in business in an honest way,
Yeah.
right? So what that means is, the robbing a bank or lying, cheating, and stealing are not going to fit with your underlying values. Okay, because if you set a goal that conflicts with your values, then your subconscious mind is actually not going to help you achieve it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you believe in sort of like manifestation and how
Mm.
your subconscious mind really affects you and helps propel you to your conscious goals, it's important to understand that if your goals conflict with what's the values and the subconscious, then you're never going to achieve your goals. Does that make sense to
Wow.
you?
It does. It totally does. So there's this concept of having the passion about doing one thing you like to do, right?
Yep.
And there's another school of thought that do not believe in passion. They believe in the right skill set. That once you have the right skill set, it automatically becomes your passion. And the other hand, I have like taken advice from few people, and they said like you have to follow your passion. So when I assess myself, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't done much things in my life. Like you said, you have started
Mm-hmm.
since the age of like teenage. So if you take of example of mine, I haven't done much of the things. So how do I
Mm-hmm.
define this is going to be the my passion or this is going to be my thing, regardless of the fact that I did not have practice anything, I did not have much experience or much exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it would be the right mindset with the right passion or right skill set, and then moving towards the passion.
Look, that's a really good question, and it's important because as you go through life,
Hmm.
you'll have different weights on whether it's a passion or skill
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
If people who study psychology, one of the very first things I learned when I was studying psychology was Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Hmm.
and where he talks about that until you have a roof over your head, food
Hmm.
to eat, and water to drink, you can't focus on attaining nirvana, right?
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
okay, so sometimes you have to cover your basic needs first.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're worried about paying the rent, okay, it
Hmm.
may be
Hmm.
difficult to think about passion. Okay, you
Of
might need
course.
to start off with, okay, what is it that I have to do? What skills can I sell in the marketplace
Yeah.
in order to be able to meet my basic needs? All right, and once you've attained that level, okay, my
Hmm.
basic needs are covered. I can pay my rent. I can pay my bills. I can support my family.
Hmm.
Then you can start thinking about, okay, where do my skills combine with my passions? Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Now, for some people, it doesn't work that way. For some people, they go, yes, I'm just going to be passionate, but and that's great if you can live, very frugally for a
Hmm.
little while
Hmm.
until those passions become until you find a way to be able to monetize those passions, because sometimes it's not easy to see a way to monetize the passions. And I guess that's one of the areas where I've been uh, able to see for both myself and other people ways that I'm able to monetize interests and
Yeah.
passions.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
this lies with the consistency as well. You'd have to do one thing every day, and that's how you become uh, able to achieve those things. Like you said, like if someone is passionate about one thing, he has to be there. He has to, regardless
Yeah.
of having all those odd jobs, he has to be present there. So the role of habits, I would like to ask here, like what
Yeah.
daily practices or habits can help entrepreneurs to have that right
Yes.
mindset to achieve their goals. So what is your phenomena about that?
Look, and again, I think it depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Hmm.
I think it's really important to, if you're at the beginning of your business career, that you have very clearly defined goals for the short, medium, and long term. So
Hmm.
it might be, okay, in the next 12 months, I want to
Hmm.
achieve this. And then you work backwards to,
Hmm.
okay, well, in order to achieve this in 12 months, I need to achieve this in 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, and this is what I have to do this week. Okay.
Okay.
And then you can break that down to daily. Okay. So in order to achieve what I need to achieve this week, here's are the things that I have to achieve every day. And then it's those daily things that you have to achieve that you need to become a habit. Okay. So that may be, okay, I'm going to do half an hour of reading. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go for a run. I'm
Yeah.
going to eat in a healthy way. Whatever those things are for your mental health,
Mm-hmm.
to give you your mental clarity.
Yeah.
So you then have the energy to do some of those things, because sometimes those daily habits, they're like, yeah, I don't really want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got to like really. So that's where having the longer term goal to pull you through some of those things that are not so easy to do. So having that bigger, longer term goal that you're trying to achieve
Yeah.
will pull you through that hard stuff that you have every day. And also, like your mindset is really important, because as an entrepreneur, at
Mm-hmm.
whatever level you're at, you're going to come across hurdles. That's
Of
very
course.
common
Of
and
course.
normal. If you don't want to come across hurdles, go get a job. That's really
Yeah.
easy, where you don't have to
Yeah.
think. Okay. And look, and that's a perfectly valid thing. I'm not knocking people who have jobs. I think that's a
Yeah.
very valid life choice. For me, it's never worked because I have a different type of personality. And I'm guessing
Mm.
for you as well, and people who are probably watching this podcast, is that they really don't want to have that job. However, if you're starting your own business, I don't
Mm-hmm.
recommend giving up your job straight away. If you have a
Mm-hmm.
job and you want to start a business as an entrepreneur, it's really good to have an income, because then you don't go into a scarcity mode. Because what happens is, if you're all you have is your business, and you're trying to provide for rent, family, bills, and you
Yeah.
don't have enough money, you go into your system subconsciously goes into a fight or flight
Mm-hmm.
response. And so you go into sort of like shock and
Yeah.
almost a state of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then that actually stops you from moving forward and achieving the things that you want to achieve. Is that making sense to you?
It does. It totally does. So, there's this one thing in my mind that, like, let us suppose there are a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
entering in this industry, especially in Amazon. You see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people jumping into it, and
Mm-hmm.
they have like in their mindset the quick rich schemes that we
Yeah.
will be the millionaire in next few years, and it doesn't happen mostly. So, uh, they have set the goal, but they have
Mm-hmm.
unrealistic expectations as well.
Yeah.
So I
Look,
want to be
I think,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
sure.
I started on Amazon in 2015, and I was
Yeah.
saying it then, and I say it now.
Hmm.
If you think selling on Amazon is a get rich quick scheme, you're in the wrong game.
Yeah,
Okay, you've got to consider it to be it's a proper business,
of
in the
course.
same way that any business. If you were going to go and start a shop, down
Yeah.
at your mall, you would look at certain things to start that business. You'd
Hmm.
want to consider rent, bills, shop fit out, getting stock, staff, all of those things. And so you have to consider your Amazon business in the same way. Okay, now you don't have to pay rent, but you do
Hmm.
have to pay FBA fees. You still have to
Of
have
course.
um, products. You still need to consider marketing. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of things that you need to consider when starting an Amazon FBA business. And yes, it is possible to make a lot of money. It took me 14 months to make my first $1 million in sales on Amazon.
Wow.
So it is possible, and I know people who do that quite regularly. However, it's not easy. It's one
Yeah.
of those. Amazon is one of those business that is simple,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
but it's not easy, because there's a lot of competition now. There's a lot of moving parts. Amazon is charging more and more fees, so things like sourcing is becoming a lot more important, and
Yeah.
sourcing for the right
Yeah.
price. When you're sourcing, you have to make sure that you have the right margins before you even start.
Of
And if
course.
you can buy something for $10 and sell it for $20 and make money, you can't. That's not a good enough margin by the time that you consider all the fees. So you have to understand what all your costs are. If you're
Yeah.
at that stage where you're searching for products, you
Yeah.
really need to know what are all the costs and take them into consideration, including pay-per-click, PPC, any
Yeah.
off Amazon advertising you might want to do, returns. There's so much to consider, and so you've got to do that before you put any money down. And anybody who's selling you the dream of saying, oh, it's
Yeah.
really easy, you just do this,
Yeah.
that, and the other, I'm sorry to tell you, you know, it's simple, but it's not easy. And you do have to be considerate in how
Hmm.
you go about doing it.
Oh, that's some really interesting insights. I thought you left Amazon, but you still have a lot to say about Amazon,
Well,
right?
well, well I've left Amazon itself, but business is business, right? And I
Of
still
course,
understand,
of
I
course.
still understand, the fundamentals of starting any kind of business.
Interesting. So the topic today was like having the right mindset of our skill set, So
Yeah.
there's this FOMO that if I don't get this, maybe there will be an opportunity I won't be able to achieve. So there's a lot of information out there,
There
but
is so
let's,
much. There's
yeah.
so much.
And
Look, and I
there's so,
myself,
yeah.
I find myself getting caught up in this. It's all, you could
Oh,
spend
really?
all day, every day learning new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
every day there's something new that comes in. But, one of my mentors always used to say, done is better than perfect.
Exactly.
So, so taking action and having that action mindset. And one of the best quotes that I've ever heard, and I can't remember who I heard it from, so I can't give the right attribution, was
Yeah.
that money loves speed, right? Money
Ah,
loves speed. Okay. So you're better
interesting.
off to take imperfect action
Yeah.
and have that mindset of, I'm just going to move forward. I'm going to do something every day that's going to move me forward, and not
Yeah.
wait until I have all of the information. I mean, I know people who started, Amazon and did the same training as I did back in 2015
Hmm.
that, to this day never got a product because they got sort of what I call, paralysis by analysis. They spent
Yeah.
so much time analyzing and waiting for just the perfect thing. Okay. And sometimes, look, it's good to be analytical, but it's
Yeah.
getting that balance. It's like, can you get sort of 80%? Can you do the figures rough? Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. I know. Okay. If I buy it for $1 and sell it for $20, I'm pretty sure I can make that
Yeah.
work. Okay. Uh, or even if I buy it for $3 and sell it for
Hmm.
$20,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can make it work if there's demand. Okay, so
Yeah.
so that's the whole other side of things, and that's a different conversation you might want to have with someone who's a little bit more in Amazon now. But really, it's taking that imperfect action, because that's going
Yeah.
to get you there faster than
Yeah.
having all of the skills you're ever going to need to make this business work. Because you
Yeah.
only need to know the skills that you need to know today to take the action you need to know today. You don't need to
Exactly.
know about all the different ways of advertising if you're still
Yeah.
looking to find a product. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So
So,
if you're looking for a product to sell on Amazon, all you
mhm.
need to know about is, you know, search term reports, keyword volumes,
Yeah.
and price points. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. And then once you've got that, and once your product is on the water coming
Yeah.
to Amazon, then you can start. Okay, maybe I need to learn a little bit about launching and ranking and advertising. So you don't need to know everything perfectly in order to get started.
Interesting. That's really interesting. If you see like this journey, this whole journey comes with a lot of risk. You have to take a risk every day. You have to wake up. There's some risk involved, and you have to take a decision. So, how do you manage those risk-taking decisions in your life? Like, what makes you think that this is going to be the right decision, and this I'm going not going to do this? So, what is your strategy for that?
Look, and that's the whole thing is you're never going to get it 100% right. Okay.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's, being an entrepreneur
Yeah.
generally inherently means you have a high tolerance for risk. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
don't have a high tolerance for risk, then you
Hmm.
shouldn't be an entrepreneur, because, sometimes things fail. And you've got to be able to, and again, this is where it comes to your mindset. Okay, how do you take failure? Do you
Yeah.
take it as, oh my goodness, my life is over
Yeah.
and I'm never going to be good at anything ever again?
Yeah.
Or is your mindset, okay, well, that didn't work. I learned some things. Let's
Hmm.
move on and take my learnings from this apparent failure
Hmm.
and move it on to the next thing. Okay, and again, that's a real mindset. And I can give an example without
Hmm.
naming
Sure.
any names. In the last
Sure.
12 months, I've been working with two different Amazon sellers who've gone through, some pretty tough times.
Hmm.
And both, multi seven figure sellers who've made millions of dollars in their businesses. And in the last 12 months, for various reasons and different ones in each case,
Yeah.
businesses come down, profits are really low, and they're suffering, financially. And
Yeah.
so one who had one particular mindset is on the phone to
Hmm.
me, basically saying, look, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to jump off my balcony because if this fails,
Yeah.
I won't, and he was like totally serious. This is not a funny thing. That this was his perception, was that
Yeah.
if his business fails,
Exactly.
he's got nothing left and there's no reason for him to live. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
a very distressful time for him. And on the other hand, another seller who was in a very similar financial position
Hmm.
had a completely different mindset. And their, conversations that we were having, okay, Regina, this is what's happening. I'm in a really bad financial state. What can I
Hmm.
do? What else can I do? How can I bring in some
Yeah.
money in different
Yeah.
ways? How can I? So, in that seller's case, there was no talk of failure. It was talk of, how can we turn this around? I may not be able to save this business.
Yeah.
Okay. But what else can I do with the skills that I have in order to be able to support my family? Okay. And so again, two different people,
Yeah.
very similar situations, but
Yeah.
the mindset was
Mindset.
completely different. Okay. And that's why I sort of say, skills are important, but how you use those skills and how you move forward with your life, I think, is more important.
Wow, that's some really great insight. So, keeping this topic in
Mhm.
front of me, there's this generational gap as well. If I see my parents, they have a different mindset, and if we
Mhm.
see ourselves, we do have a different mindset. Our parents or our grandparents, they were happy in a very small, very small home, very small wage, and they used to live a very, very great life. On the other hand, if you see a lot of young entrepreneurs jumping into this any kind of field, any kind of entrepreneurship venture, they're not happy, they're not satisfied, they're not satisfied even making millions. So what is happening here? What's wrong
Okay, well,
here?
what is happening there is because they have put their values, their
Hmm.
values are on external things. Okay, so
Hmm.
and you see this all the time. People who have a lot of money,
Yeah.
their values are, I need to be rich and I need to be richer than the next person, and I need to have
Hmm.
this and I need to have that and I need to have whatever. And then they get that, and they
Hmm.
realize, or maybe they don't realize,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
they get those things, and those things don't make them happy.
Yeah.
Okay, because you know it's not necessarily a generational thing, because I'm the generation of your parents, maybe even your grandparents. I don't know how
Yeah.
old you are,
Yeah.
but it's an innate thing where, and
Yeah.
I guess our society has changed with social media. Everybody's
Yeah.
flexing.
Yeah.
Here's my Lambo, here's my this, here's my that, and
Of
that's
course.
all great. But at the end of the day, you've got to be happy within yourself first.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is sort of like a really interesting thing with manifestation. If you listen to anybody that talk about how to manifest things, where your brain will help you achieve your things. One of the ways to do that with your um, affirmations
Hmm.
and the way, and your self-talk, the way you talk
Hmm.
to yourself, because your brain hears how you talk to yourself, right? So it's you've got to act as if you already have those things or
Yeah.
are that way. So if you
Yeah.
act as if and talk to yourself as if you are already happy and fulfilled, as
Yeah.
opposed to, I have my Lamborghini and my $5 million home.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm happy and fulfilled in what I have and who I am as a human being needs to be
Yeah.
first, and then everything else is a bonus, right? That's why, so for me, from the Western world,
Yeah.
and people from Australia and America go to countries that are poor countries
Yeah. Yeah.
in the third world, and they see people and they go, oh, they're so poor, they don't have anything, but they're happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's the same thing. So it's because they're happy on the inside. Now, I'm sure those people who are poor would rather be rich, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. However, one of the things that makes you happy is your expectations. So what are your expectations? And if you keep looking at other people and trying to measure yourself against them, then you're
Yeah.
never going to be.
Yeah.
So can you measure yourself against you? And you say, so like genuinely say, okay, how much do I actually need?
Yeah.
Do I need the Lamborghini? Probably not. How much do I actually need in order to give my life the level of what is it that I want? Do you need to travel first class around the world every year? I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people do. Will it make them happy? I don't know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I've done that and it's fabulous, but I'm just as happy not doing it, because for
Hmm.
me, I'm happy whether I've got money or whether I don't have money. It
Hmm.
makes no
Hmm.
difference to me. Obviously, it's nicer to have it, and I do what I can to make sure that I have what I need in order to achieve what I want to achieve. But the older you get, and
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
older you get, the more you understand that who you are as a human being and who you are as a soul is not dependent on what you have. It's not dependent on your stuff. Okay, so
Interesting.
yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Does
So,
that answer your question? I don't know. I may have sort of gone off on a tangent there.
no, no, that's fine. That's totally fine. So, there was this book I was reading, and it told the power of subconscious mind.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah, I'm a big
the
believer. Big
yeah,
believer. Yeah.
yeah, the author gave an example of the endless blessing in this world. So he said, like, go outside and imagine how many butcher shops are out there. You will find a butcher shop every 100 meters. So
Yep.
do you think that their uh, their income is going to end just because there's a lot of saturation in that? No.
Mhm.
If the whole butchery shop is going to end, there's a system in this world that they will create some kind of another thing that will produce the same kind of meat for them as
Mhm.
well. So
Yep.
it's all about the belief. Initially, what is that? You have to bring something in your mind that I can achieve this, I can achieve this. And once that thoughts come into your mind, it's all the whole, it's like just like the law of attraction. Everything's
Yep.
come onto your way. Once you start thinking and once you start believing, everything comes in your way automatically. And then the second thing he mentioned is the gratitude. you know
Mhm.
you have to wake
Yep.
up every day and pay gratitude, whether you have a lot in your pocket or whether you have nothing in your pocket.
Yep.
You always have to look down. You do not need to look up, that look how better he is doing. You need
Mhm.
to see yourself and you need to see down how many people are struggling to be at my place. So I think this is what
Yes.
matters really. We always need to be very, very positive, and we always need to be thinking about ourselves and then the people below us, not the people above us. Once we start thinking about the people above us, that is where the wrong thing starts happening. It's all
Well,
it's
I mean, I don't believe in this concept of below
Mhm,
and above in terms of
mhm,
human beings. I think we're
mhm.
all, as human beings, we're equal. I think some
Yeah.
people like to say that, because I've got more money than you, I'm better
Yeah.
than you, and we
Yeah.
know that that's not true.
Hmm.
But I want to go back to this power of the subconscious mind and perhaps explain a little bit how that works.
Of
That
course.
there's a thing in the brain called the reticular activation system.
Hmm.
And what that means is when you put something in your mind,
Hmm.
into your brain, your subconscious is constantly searching for
Yeah.
evidence of that thing. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say you bought yourself a red car, or
Yeah.
and you've never had a
Yeah.
red car before. Okay.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you start seeing a lot more red cars. Okay.
Yeah.
Because your brain is looking around you
Hmm.
to justify your decision. Okay. Now, that also works. I mean, it's a magical thing that our brain does for us because
Hmm.
that can
Hmm.
work. We can trick our brain to help
Yeah.
us achieve our goals. Okay.
Hmm.
Because if you plant in your mind that, I have this business, I am successful, I am, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and you have to say it in that I am.
Yeah.
Okay. So your brain will start looking for evidence that that is true. And you'll
Exactly.
start seeing opportunities to make it true. Okay. A
Yeah.
couple of
There's
years
this
ago,
exercise by Tony Robbins, about the
yeah,
incantation.
yeah,
So
yep.
how
I
what's
love Tony. That's right.
Mhm,
But one of my, best examples I can give you was a couple of
mhm,
years ago. I was going through, during COVID.
mhm,
I was personally going through a really rough financial phase of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sort of pulled out these big um, uh, wall posters, and I
Yeah.
wrote on them, and I wrote my affirmations on them. And one of my favorite ones I wrote was, I am a money magnet. Everything I touch turns to gold.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And I
Good.
had that on my wall. Had it on my wall, and I had it on my wall for quite some time. I'm not kidding with you, Danny. Within 12 months, I'd made
Mm-hmm.
over $1 million
Wow.
in a
That's
completely
amazing.
new
That's
business.
amazing.
Now, it wasn't because I was sitting there meditating on that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
affirmation.
Yeah.
I was doing stuff as well, but
Yeah.
it was driving me, right. And at first, when you write something that sort of big, because that's a
Mm-hmm.
big thing. There's, I am a
Yeah.
money magnet. Everything I touch turns to gold. At first, I would say it's like it didn't really sit right. It was
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But after like saying it 3, 4, 5 times a day and just seeing it in front of me because it was on my bedroom wall, I was just
Mm-hmm.
seeing it every time I walked past. All of a sudden becomes, oh, actually, I am a money magnet. Everything I touch turns to
Yeah.
gold,
Yeah.
and things sort of start coming. Now, again, I'm not talking about just sitting there meditating and doing
Mm-hmm.
nothing and waiting for the riches to come. All right,
Yeah.
you still
Yeah.
have to take action. Okay,
Exactly.
please understand that there's got to be action to back
Mm-hmm.
up the your goals and your incantations, as you quite rightly said. Tony Robbins calls them incantations, where
Oh
you're
yeah.
shouting them out into the world.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're very, very powerful because what they do
Mm-hmm.
is they're activating that reticular activation system that I was talking about before in your
Yeah.
subconscious mind. And so what that happens is your brain subconsciously is looking. It's looking while you're not paying attention. It's looking for those
Exactly.
opportunities for
Exactly.
whatever it is that you're asking for to come true.
Exactly. There's this series on Netflix as well. It's about law of attraction. It totally explains this phenomena that the more you imagine positivity, the positivity attracts you. So it's all about, I think, the having the right mindset, and automatically things happens in your way. So we would like to
Well,
conclude this.
here's an
Yeah.
example. You know that your body doesn't
Yeah.
understand the difference between exercising and imagining you're exercising. There's there's been some really interesting studies done, and I can't quote them
Mm-hmm.
off the top of my head, so you'll have to do some research on this,
Okay.
where people for example, practicing the piano. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so if you can physically practice the piano, or
Mm-hmm.
you can imagine, vividly imagine in your mind that you're practicing the piano,
Yeah.
okay, over and over and over again. People who do the imagining,
Mm-hmm.
okay, will often get very similar results to people who are physically doing
Yeah.
that same action.
Yeah.
Okay, so your brain
Yeah.
can't distinguish
Exactly.
between reality and imagination. So
Exactly.
that's why that real vivid imagination, and if if you can do some self-hypnosis,
Yeah.
is one of the tools that I recommend. And there's plenty of information out there on the internet about easy self-hypnosis methodologies, which are fantastic, where you
Mm-hmm.
take yourself into sort of a slight dream state and vividly
Mm-hmm.
imagine what it is that you're trying to do. And if you do
Interesting.
that over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it easier again for your conscious mind
Mm.
to then help you achieve it. Okay, it often has to start with the subconscious first. But
Awesome.
it's a funny circle. You have to consciously feed your subconscious so that your
Yeah.
subconscious then creates it in the real world.
Exactly. In fact, I have practiced this thing once. I was a professional cricketer, if you know cricket. So
Mhm,
I was a
mhm.
professional bowler,
Of
fast
course, you're in
bowler. So
Pakistan. Of course, you're a cricketer.
so before going into the ground, I used to sit and I used to imagine, like, this is going to
Yeah,
be the batsman and what ball I'm going to, you know,
yeah.
put him and what ball I will be bowling him. And once I reach the ground, once I used to
Mhm.
ball, it automatically starts happening. I automatically starts running that way, regardless of
Yep.
having the warm up, regardless of having good practice. It happened. I
Mhm.
used to ball like 6 ball and 6 for on the perfect spot because I have practiced them in my
Yep.
mind so many times that it happens smoothly.
There
So
you go.
I totally agree with you. This I totally agree with you.
Yep.
This happened. Um, what books or podcasts or entrepreneurs you would like us to follow or the people to follow to have the right mindset?
Oh, look, there are so many. It's really difficult for me at the moment. I
At the
listen
moment, yeah.
to at the moment.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on where you are. What stage you are in your business.
Yeah.
Me personally, at the moment, I listen to Diary of a CEO. I
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
his
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, yeah.
I'm on a bit of a biohacking and longevity kick, so I like to from time to time listen to Andrew Huberman.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew's episodes are very long, so they're a bit of a commitment. So I don't listen to all of them. I just find the ones that I like. I like
Mm-hmm.
Dave Asprey, also
Mm-hmm.
very much around biohacking and longevity and health. That's sort of
Mm-hmm.
those are of interest to me. But there are so many great business, and even in the Amazon space, there's a lot of terrific podcasts. Danny McMillan
Oh yeah.
is one of my
Yeah.
favorites, podcasters in the space.
Yeah.
Norm Farrar, Lunch with Norm podcast,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic podcasts in that space. Those are probably two that I would recommend for Amazon sellers. But there's so many now. I have a podcast of my old episodes were called Women on Amazon, so a lot
Oh,
of that
really?
information, they're all still up. Some of them may not be relevant anymore because
Mm-hmm.
Amazon changes. And then
Yeah.
my new
Yeah.
podcast is Success Starts Here.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a little while since I've put up an episode, but you've inspired me to do some more.
Of course.
But there's so much information, and you've got to be a little bit careful. That
Mm-hmm.
again, I think we touched on this earlier, that you're never going to know everything. Okay. And
Yeah.
sometimes you've
Yeah.
got to stop listening to other people because it gets to a point where you sort of go, well, actually, I know enough to get started.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
pick one or two people that you're listening to
Mm-hmm.
that you relate to. There may be 10 people giving out the same information, but
Yeah.
you might not like the style of 9 of them, and there's one whose style that you prefer. So follow
Mm-hmm.
that person. I certainly did that when I started. Daniel Moran had
Mm-hmm.
an Amazon podcast. I mean, now he's moved on to other things in the
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial space.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, he was like a great person. I'm pretty sure his old Amazon episodes are still up. So if you can find
Yeah.
Daniel Moran's Amazon episodes, again, some of them won't be relevant anymore, but
Yeah.
the bigger picture structural ones will be. I found
Mm-hmm.
those to be particularly helpful when I started on Amazon. So my recommendation is find one or two
Mm-hmm.
that you like,
Mm-hmm.
that give information that's relevant to you in wherever whatever stage you are in your life, and
Mm-hmm.
follow them. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do everything they do,
Yeah.
and it's great to get information from other sources, but it can also be confusing if you do that too much. Then
Oh
you go,
yeah.
well, hang on,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
person said I should do this, this person said I should do that, another third person
Yeah.
said this, and another, there's AI, and there's this, and there's that, and who do I trust? And then you get stuck, right?
Yeah.
And you get stuck. So you've got to be careful of that overwhelm.
Of course, of course. I'm a huge believer of this quote from Simonson. He always said that I know nothing. So I
Nothing. I love
always, I
Stephen is
love
one of
it.
my all-time favorite
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
He also had a podcast called
yeah.
Awesomers,
Awesomers. Yeah.
which is one of my favorite things ever. I love Steve dearly. He was one of my friends when I started in the Amazon business, and
Mm-hmm.
is a mentor. So whatever he's doing, I highly recommend you follow
Of
him.
course,
Yeah.
100%. So last question. This
Yes.
is going to be an advice from you. So what
Oh,
advice
okay.
would you be giving a 25
Mhm.
years old guy
Mhm.
sitting in front of you, looking for a better future, a better
Mhm.
life with the right mindset?
Mhm.
So if you were at your early 20s, what advice you would be giving yourself, or what kind of mistakes you might have made that you would not like to repeat, or maybe not want someone to repeat those?
Look, at 25, you've got the whole world still
Yeah.
in front of you, and you have plenty of time to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And so the advice I would give would be, don't be afraid to fail, and fail fast. Okay,
Awesome.
just don't be afraid, because it's easier to do that when you're 25 than when you're
Mhm.
55 or 75,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So at 25, you've got the, you've got so much time.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the luxury. That's what I was looking for. You've got the
Yeah.
luxury of being able to fail, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
learn and move on. So the faster you can fail, the faster
Mm-hmm.
you can learn, and the faster
Yeah.
you can get back up and
Yes.
move on. When my daughter was younger, I remember she came home from school with a poster that the
Mm-hmm.
school had made with the word "fail" written down,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
they'd put next to each letter. Then they've defined failure as
Mm-hmm.
first attempt in learning,
Oh, nice. Nice.
right?
Nice. Nice.
Which is beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, if you flip that around and you go, okay, I haven't failed,
Mm-hmm.
I've just attempted to learn something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that would
Yeah.
that would be my advice: fail fast.
Yeah. Fail fast and fail differently, right?
And don't make the same. Learn from your failure
Yeah.
and don't
Yeah.
do the same one again. Right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
if you fail again, it's from a different mistake, and so you can go,
Yeah.
okay, well, I've made this mistake and I've made that mistake and I've made this mistake. Now I can learn from all of those. What's next?
Awesome. Awesome. We will like to conclude this and end this
Mm.
awesome discussion we had. So, uh, people would like to maybe reach out to you, and maybe what's the
Mhm.
best way to reach out to you? And I think you have a masterclass as well. So, would you like to mention that as well?
Yes, I have just a really basic and very quick. It's 3 days, but it's literally like 10 minutes a day. Goal
Mhm.
setting masterclass that I've given you the link for, so you can feel
Mhm.
free to post that. It's free for anybody, so you're welcome to take that. And in that, I cover the things like the values and the goals. So there you go. So that's that. If I'm on what my daughter calls, old people's TikTok, which is
Mhm.
Facebook. So
Yeah.
the easiest way is to find me on Facebook, and
Yeah.
there you go. There's my link. I'm very easy to find, and Messenger is the fastest way to get in touch with me. And
Awesome. Awesome.
I do coaching
Hmm.
for people if they're interested, not in the specifics of Amazon, but
Yeah.
more on the bigger picture mindset and business building. If somebody's interested, I'm more than happy to jump on a call to talk to them about that.
That's brilliant, and
Oh, and that's
thank you
a
so much,
podcast. Yeah,
Regina.
sorry about that
Yeah.
link. That's the
That's
Success
fine.
Starts Here podcast. You can just search it. You can just search it there.
Yeah.
It's on
Yeah.
it's on
Great.
Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on all the different
Awesome.
apps.
That's
Mhm.
great. That's great. So, thank you so much, Regina, for coming on
Mm.
this podcast. And this was my second podcast, and you're my second guest. So,
Oh,
thank you
I'm
so
I'm
much
I'm
for
very
honoring me.
honored and privileged. Thank
Yeah,
you. It's been so
yeah,
fun. Thank you for having
yeah.
me.
And it was really nice talking with you. We would like to end this, and thank you so much again, Gina. I hope everyone liked this video.